Good evening and welcome to the Melissa Cardinals Network. This is the weekly edition of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show brought to you at the Dugout Sports Grill at the Z-Plex. This is Pastor Trey Graham, Coach Matt Nally joining you as we do each week here on Mondays to share with you insights into the Melissa Cardinals football program that you will get nowhere else. Coach Nally, welcome back to the Dugout.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Labor Day weekend, are you laboring today?
I really don't know what the definition of Labor Day is. Is it not to labor? Because if it's not to labor, then no, sir.
It's not un-Labor Day, right?
Yeah. No, sir. I've been working. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And Labor Day for political people, because you know my political talk show is a different thing, not this one. Good for you. The Labor Day season is usually when the political season kicks off. People start paying attention unless you're a politics nerd. But for you and the rest of the world, Labor Day's when the NFL season and the college football season kicks off.
Right. I'll be honest with you. The only game I really watched was I watched a little bit of the Oklahoma game, and I watched.
You mean Army and Coastal Carolina?
Well, you know,
besides
of course that one. Yeah,
okay,
that was the top of the list.
Yes,
you know, and I watched a little bit of Texas, but that's the weekend is an opportunity. I have an 8-year-old, so the weekend is an opportunity for me to really spend time with my 8-year-old boy. So. And he's really not into football, so that's the time, you know, we watch Zootopia and stuff like that.
See, that's why you need to come here where all these TVs are on.
Right.
All right, let's talk about being a dad of boys and a pseudo-dad to like 200 boys.
Right.
One of the things you talk about a lot as the head football coach of the Cardinals is you call it character time and character training, because you're going to graduate these young men. Some of them are going to go play college football. Most of them will not. Mm-hmm. They're going to be a math teacher or a plumber or an electrician or an accountant or a pastor or something. Talk about your goals to help them be real men. Character.
So during the season on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I don't even call it character ed anymore. I call it just spending time with the kids. And it is one of the most, you want to say important, but it's the most special time for me as a person, because, you know, you want to talk about X's and O's and trapping corners and all these things, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's when you send them out and how they're going to be as a man. And not just that, but how they're going to be as a citizen. And, you know, I mean, I've had so many former players that have coached and whatnot, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking about one that passed away this last week. But you learn from each one of those kiddos, and there was just those opportunities. Like I had those opportunities with that kid that passed away, and you know, there are moments that you just hope that, you know, they were listening to you and things like that, and you hope that they feel like they're loved and appreciated and valued more than just a player. And that's the thing about it, is you have to make sure that it's not just about sports. It's not just about football. It's about, this is a bond that's going to last forever. And that's what you try to create. So on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, on Wednesdays we do Stephen Mackey 2 words, and he does a great job and whatnot. And then I just like to speak. I was going to be a preacher at one point in time. I know I've told you that before. But so a lot of the things I like to talk about are parables from the Bible, stories from the Bible. And I'm not trying to push that stuff, but they're great stories, and they relate to things.
It's the best book.
Right. Yeah. And so I talk about those things. And then and I think just real personable conversations. You know, it's not the cliche stuff that people do, but it's real conversations that you're having with these kids, because at the end of the day, it's real life. There is no curriculum for real life. So, and, you know, I mean, it's just something that I think is very, very, very important, because of the fact of, and I was talking to my wife about this a couple weeks ago, if I wasn't a coach, or if something happened to me and my boys were in a program, what is the most important thing? Well, the most important thing is not winning. The most important thing is they're getting something from that program that's going to help them be a better person. And that's the most important thing for me. So, we talk. We spend 45 minutes a week with the kids during the season. Last week we talked about the story of Jericho, and we talked about Peter and Jesus walking on water, and just those stories and how they can relate to your life.
Those are two different stories in case
Right.
people aren't sure, yes.
But just, and they're good stories, so, and they relate to life. Like, when we're talking about Peter and Jesus walking on water, Peter's goal was Jesus, but he gets distracted by the wind and the storm and things like that, and he starts to sink, and then he cries out, and Jesus appears and he sees his goal again, and then Jesus helps him up and they walk back. I mean, that is a great just story talking about keep your eyes on your goal.
Sometime I'll take you to the Sea of Galilee and show you where it happened.
Dang right. But, don't let the distractions around you affect you. And, we talk about, I'm not going to apologize for the schedule that I put together. I'm not. Everyone that knows what I'm doing has hit me up. I talked to Coach Rogers for a couple hours yesterday.
Argyle's head coach.
And some other people, Coach Ross. Me and Coach Ross at Lovejoy have become friends. And everyone that understands knows. Argyle's going to be the number one team in the state. China Springs probably going to be the number one team in the state. We put this together for a reason. And it's all about finding adversity early. And we talk about all the stuff we talk about within our character stuff. And just spending time with the kids is when you see adversity, it's going to either help you grow or you're going to crumble. And we're trying to help kids grow. We're not trying to help. It's so easy to crumble. It's so easy to point your finger at somebody else. It's so easy to do those things. It's hard to grow. It is really hard to link arms together in our world today and really grow with each other. We want to, say it's somebody else's fault or whatever the case may be. And we really don't want to work. And, that's what we're trying to teach. Hey, man, let's link together. Let's keep moving forward. And, that's the biggest thing for us in those little conversations that we have with the kids every week. And like I said, a lot of it, we relate it to football, but it's about life for the most part.
Now, you have players who are lifetime Cardinals.
Yep.
Like kindergarten all the way through, and then you've got the guy who's been a Cardinal for a week and a half.
Right.
How do you fit them in? They joined a moving train.
Right.
Now, that's not just character ed, that's football, that's
Correct.
academics, that's everything. So how do you bring in the player who moved here a week ago and they join the moving train?
You have to, treat them like they're a Cardinal. First and foremost, you got to be consistent as well. Like, they are a Cardinal. So right when they show up, they're integrated. Now, first off, we have great kids. Like, I don't think there's ever been a kid that's moved in Melissa and felt like they weren't already accepted. Our kiddos, and I'm not talking about the football program, I'm talking about every kid in Melissa. They do a great job of just welcoming kids. We are growing, and they're just flooding in, so they really don't have a choice. But that's the one thing about a Melissa kid that I love the most is they're so welcoming and they're so accepting of everyone. But yeah, it's just, hey, let's go, get on board, buckle up, and let's go. So, that's pretty much how we handle that. But we don't, normally in the off season we do some other things. But while we're in the in-season, we can't do those things. It's let's rock and roll. And but at the end of the day, it's okay. I feel like it's okay. In my philosophy, it's okay to tell a kid that you love them, to hug them. And I tell every kid that moves in, like, hey, I'm going to tell you there's a couple things that we're going to do here that's a little different. And A, we're going to tell you we love you, and B, we're going to hug you probably too much. It's going to get awkward. So, and that's just really how we start and then go that way.
Same question, but you bring in new assistants, new assistant coaches that you're having join the moving train. What's the process to integrate them?
So the same thing. So when we sit there and we have our coaches meetings when they come in, I call myself a Dick Vermeil without crying. I'm going to tell them I love them, and I'm going to hug them. And, they really, honestly, all the position coaches deserve every win they deserve. Every loss I deserve. But they are an unbelievable staff to be a part of. But they're just great men. That's the thing about it, too, is just, and we don't hire good coaches. We hire great men who can coach. So I would say, I mean, if you ask one of our kids about those new coaching hires, I don't think there's a kid that would say anything negative about any of those guys because they're amazing people. To integrate them into the Cardinal way, first and foremost, these guys are applying because they know Melissa has a standard. And we talk about that standard when we're interviewing, and we talk about that standard in our coaches' meetings before the season starts. And they understand the whole vision, the whole thing. And the first thing we talk about is character. You're here to teach people how to be better people. You're not here to teach people how to backpedal. You're not here to teach people how to run through the A gap. You're not here to teach that. You're here to teach people how to be good people first. So, I mean, that's pretty much just having those little small conversations and whatnot. But they want to be here for a reason. So and there's a teacher shortage, and there's an official shortage. And the good teachers and the good officials, they're not the ones that are staying. They're the ones that are leaving, So
Leaving the profession.
So you get these guys. So when we get a guy that's great, oh man, we're doing everything we can to get him. And we're extremely lucky this last blessed this last offseason to get the people that we got. Because like I said, I mean, it's an epidemic in the state of Texas, and not just the state of Texas, but all over the place, the teacher shortage. So, yeah, we're really, really blessed for the people that we got.
I'm going to ask you a football question next, but I'm going to tell the audience something that I tell our church staff all the time, and I tell my family all the time, and I think it jives with what Matt's saying. Winners want to play on winning teams.
Right.
So you're able to hire quality people because winners want to play on winning teams.
Correct.
And I think that's reflected here.
Right.
Now, a year ago, we sat here kind of down the hallway here, and you were 0-2.
Yeah.
And the sky was falling.
Yeah.
And everybody was worried about the Cardinals. And you said, don't worry, we'll be okay. You did go on to win the next 11 games after that.
Right.
Here we are 0-2. We're going to talk football in the next segment, but here you are 0-2 again. I haven't heard it, but somebody out there is saying the sky is falling.
Right.
Tell us where the team is. Tell us what you've said to the team, what you would say to the fan whose hair is on fire right now. What are you going to say?
Well, to the team, it's real simple. Like, we're putting you in a situation that no other school that is going to be playing after Thanksgiving is in this situation. And we do this on purpose. I mean, look at the Argyles of the world. You look at SOC. SOC is 0-2. And
South Oak Cliff.
They're playing Duncanville.
Former state champion, yeah.
Duncanville, Lancaster. Wow, they played DeSoto this week. I mean, they're playing really tough opponents. And this isn't – everyone looks at wins and losses differently. You can't look at wins and losses. Everything builds up to November and December. So a win or a loss in August and September means absolutely nothing when it comes to November and December. So that's the mindset that you got to be about. It's like lifting weights. When you start lifting weights for the first time, okay, you're going to be weak. You're going to be struggling. You're going to start doubting. You're not going to see progress. But you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep grinding. You got to keep with the process. And then you start to get stronger. And then you start to see progress. You know what I'm saying? And that's how this thing works. You're going to have to go through adversity. You're going to have to go through times. I want the team to be through adversity early. Because, man, if you know as well as I do, if you have adversity late, you're losing. So we want it early. Fight early. Be calloused when preseason is over. There's teams that we're going to play. I mean, our first 4 opponents right now are undefeated. And, it's just we just can't have that mindset of winning and losing. There's a lot of coaches out there that schedule wins. I'm never going to schedule a win. To me, we're going to schedule to set me up, to set the kids up, to set the coaches up for November and December. Because to me, that's the right way to do it. It's not about
And let's remind the audience, just so you understand the logistics, non-district games, as these first 3 games are, do not calculate into making the playoffs or not. Only the district games do. So you can win all the non-district or lose all the non-district. That doesn't determine your playoff fate.
Correct.
Some people don't understand how the UIL system works. So just logistically, that's the reality. But then there's a mentality issue that Matt's talking about.
And you go through district play, and you go, let's just the season in general. So we're going to have a skid there where we're not going to be playing as high quality teams. So if you do that and your preseason is quote unquote a cupcake,
Non-district games, yes.
and you go through that stretch, you're not going to be prepared for that moment when you need to be prepared for that moment. And like I said, I scheduled Royce City. They're a 6A school. They're really good.
We'll talk about them in just a minute, but they happen to be an undefeated 6A team.
Correct,
yes.
correct. And like I said, I don't apologize for it. My kids deserve it. Watch, my kids will compete with that 6A school this week. Watch, my kids will do their job and do what they're supposed to do, and give it all they got for the community, for the program, for each other, and that's all I can ask for. It's preseason, okay? So, but I'm super proud of them. Super proud of them. Those kids, we're gelling. And that's the thing about it. That's through adversity, like I said, you either grow or crumble. And I mean, we're having the coaching staff or coaches meeting over the weekend, and they were kind of laughing like, "This is our MO. This is what we do." But every year that we've done this, it's kind of like, hey, guys, we're going to have to grow from it. But our kids understand the process. Our kids, it was the greatest practice we've had this morning. It was great. It was unbelievable. But once again, that's our kids. That's our kids' mentality. They understand it's about Crandall. They understand that Royce City, China Springs, and Argyle doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if we play Argyle in a month, I believe it's a different ballgame. If we play China Springs in a month, I believe it's a different ballgame. But once again, the number one team in the state when it comes out will be Argyle. The number one team in the state when it comes out will be China Springs. And then I don't know where Royce City will place in 6A, but at the end of the day, man, that's just going to make the kid you're bringing up, going to talk to, that's going to make him better when he sees Crandall. That's going to make him so much better when he sees Terrell. When we see Lovejoy week 10, man, that kid and the rest of those kids are going to be so prepared for that moment by playing those teams. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about playing Royce City. I was excited about playing China. I was excited about playing Argyle. But like I said, the people that get it, those guys understand what we're trying to accomplish. So, but super proud of my kids, super proud of the coaching staff. I couldn't be more proud of a coach right now.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk football in a minute. But in our next segment, we're going to interview a player, a tremendous player. And, Coach, this is the 15th year of the Melissa Cardinals Network, my 15th year calling your ball games. I don't know that we've ever had a game where the same player won Offensive Player of the Game, Defensive Player of the Game, and Special Teams Player of the Game.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Jacob Fields is pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He's sitting right there, so you can brag on him if you want to, or you can drop him for push-ups, I guess, if you want to. But we're going to bring up Jacob Fields, Offensive and Defensive Player of the Game. But before we bring him on the air, talk about him.
Well, first off, you can talk about talent all you want to talk about. He is probably the most talented kid I've ever coached. In my opinion, probably the best player on our team. Just overall best football player we got. But man, when you talk to him and you get to know who he is, such a great person, and that's the thing about him that I love the most. I love talking to him. I got lunch duty, and I get to watch him interact and whatnot, and with his teammates and with his friends and whatnot. And those are the moments that you can tell, like, he's a really good guy. And I see him interact with his teammates during practice, and he's coaching kids. He's coaching the young kids. That's just, that's a solid person. He's going to grow up to be a super, super successful person.
We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and talk with Jacob Fields after this. Remember, you can join us every Monday evening at 5:30 p.m. at the Dugout Sports Grill to be part of the live audience here as we produce a new segment and a new edition of the Cardinal Scoreboard show every Monday evening. Make sure you subscribe to the Melissa ISD YouTube channel so you'll be informed when every new episode comes out. And as the pastor, First Melissa, it's my privilege to invite you to our church home Sunday mornings in person, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. Go to firstmelissa.com to find out more. This is Trey Graham with Matt and Allie. We'll take a break and talk with Jacob Fields right after this. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show, brought to you by the Dugout Sports Grill. As promised, we've been joined here at the booth by Jacob Fields, our offensive, defensive, and special teams player of the week in the game against China Spring last Friday. Jacob Fields, welcome back to the Melissa Cardinals Network.
Thank you.
It's good to visit with you. You were here with us last year on a couple of games. Talk about what it means to be chosen by the broadcasters as player of the game.
It's a great feeling, I don't think I'd be here if it weren't for my teammates. I scored 3 touchdowns, but I can't do that if on punt return my teammates aren't blocking, or if Owen Hollenbeck doesn't pull right or block the correct guy. So it's just amazing to have the teammates I'm playing with and to have them by my side.
This is your senior year, so you are considered to be one of the team leaders.
Sure.
Coach Nally talked a minute ago about you coaching up your teammates. Talk about that role.
It's a challenging role, to be honest, because only 2 of us, me and Josh Nicholas, have played on Friday nights. Everybody else in the DBs, they've never played a Friday night game. So it's just all about coaching them and just rallying around those guys and just getting closer together so they can step up when they need to.
Now, is this X's and O's, or is this motivational, keep your head up kind of stuff?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. You got to teach them, because we're running a new defense. You're teaching them defensive schemes and correct fits, and really just motivating them and keeping their head right, because young guys will get down so fast and get in their head. You got to keep them positive and just rally around them.
You heard my interview with Coach Nally a minute ago. You're aware that you're 0-2. Everybody's aware. How do you make sure the team is not losing confidence, not feeling depressed? How do they keep the motivation and the effort up?
Just like Coach Nally said, preseason it's a scrimmage basically. You're just getting better, and he doesn't scrimmage those wins like you said. All it's about is just getting better and building the chemistry that we need to have week 6, week 7, and into the playoffs.
Now, this is your second year in Melissa, right?
Yes, sir.
You were one of those orange people before, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Over there in Salina. All right, talk about your life as a Cardinal. How has your life changed in your 2 years here?
It's been amazing. As soon as I came over here, I felt like I was accepted by everybody, and I'm learning a lot more just about football and about myself and about becoming a man, and it's been amazing.
What's your favorite class in school? You have to pick one.
I'd say anatomy and physiology.
Oh, good. Good. Why?
It's a chill class, honestly. I have a good teacher. She doesn't really do too much.
Okay. And what's the college life? Recruiting's going on. Talk about that experience.
My recruitment here has been a lot better since I've come to Melissa. I'm committed to La Tech right now, but, I'm still just getting better, working, because right now I'm working for a spot in college still. Even though I'm committed, I got to be pushing myself to be better than the safety in college that I'm going to have to be fighting for when I'm a freshman in college. So I'm just working.
And what has the experience been like? Colleges calling you, emailing, texting? Is it a fun experience? Is it flattering? Is it a pain? Is it a good or bad experience?
It's definitely a good and fun experience. So the main thing I try to work on is just staying humble, and there's some guys on our teams that don't have offers, so they might, get down on themselves, but you just got to pick them up and just don't make it about yourself all the time.
Why Louisiana Tech?
The coaching staff is amazing. I loved it down there. The campus is beautiful, and I loved my position there.
Good. And what do you want to do after college?
After college, I'm looking at either going to the NFL or real estate.
Why?
I feel like I got away with words. I'd be able to sell a house real easy.
Okay, very good. Now, the Cardinal fans are watching, and they join in every week to learn about the program. Tell them something they need to know about Melissa football.
The coaching staff is amazing. When you walk through those doors, they're gonna lift you up and help you be a better person, man, woman, anybody. They're gonna be there for you whenever you need them.
Our offensive, defensive, and special teams player of the week. First time in my memory ever for one player to get all 3 awards. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our guest this segment has been Jacob Fields for the game against China Spring. We'll take a break and talk more with Coach Matt Nally right after this. Cardinals got on the scoreboard. Jacob Fields, who just was named offensive and defensive player of the game, could also be special teams player of the game. Punt return touchdown showing great speed. And then we've got a touchdown run by Jacob Fields, his second of the night. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham with head football coach of the Melissa Cardinals, Matt Nally. We join you every Monday evening from the Dugout Sports Grill here at the Z-Plex. You just heard our interview with Jacob Fields, played a tremendous game against China Spring. Now we're going to talk some football with Coach Matt Nally. It was a tough loss, 42-41, final score against China Spring. And here's your weird stat of the night. After 8 minutes of play, you had 11 yards of total offense and a 20-0 lead.
Once again, that's kudos to the defense, the way the defense played. That's kudos to, special teams is a big thing to me. And, they kicked it to Jake. And that was, when people, get brave and want to kick the ball to Jake or want to kick it to Lincoln or Clark or whatever the case may be, and we like our chances. So, but once again, that's kudos to the defensive staff, the defensive kids, and our special team staff and those kids that play special teams.
It was 20-0. You had an offensive touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and a special teams touchdown in one quarter of football.
I wonder if there's a Guinness Book of World Record for that.
There's a Melissa Cardinals record book for that, I guess. Yes.
Yes.
So that's important to know that you've got to be strong on all phases of the game.
Correct. Absolutely. And I think that potentially hurt us in the second quarter offensively, just because we didn't get that many possessions in the first quarter. But at the end of the day, if you're scoring on special teams and you're scoring on defense and you're getting turnovers on defense, what else can you ask for? But once again, that's kudos to that staff. That's kudos to those kids. And just so proud of them and what they did. Landon Brando running for a touchdown. That was an awesome interception and run. And, Jake getting that punt and doing his thing. And the offense scoring in the red zone when we got the ball down there. So, it was just a good opportunity, and it was fun to watch, the kids compete in that situation.
We do have to remember these are 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. It's the home opener. It's senior night, which in the new world is the first game of the year, not the last game of the year. So it's senior night, home opener against the defending state champs. You're up 20-0. Like that. How do you keep the kids remembering it ain't over yet?
I heard this quote this summer, and it was actually from the coach at SOC. And, winning ain't won nothing is what he says. And, man, I was like, man, that's awesome. And we kind of talked about it during fall camp a little bit. But that is something that we're going to really harp on is winning ain't never won nothing. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was on cloud nine, too. The kids were playing well, and I was super excited. And do I ever felt like the kids put it in neutral? No, I don't. But, there's some other things that happened throughout the game that gave China Springs a little bit of momentum and whatnot, and they took advantage of it.
On the other side of the stat sheet, 19 penalties for 180 yards.
Right.
You know those officials well. I know those officials because we've worked with them a lot.
Correct.
We were chatting, you, me, and the referee. We were chatting in the pregame. So they're not perfect, of course.
Correct.
But doesn't matter if it was the good call or bad call. It was a call. There was a yellow hanky on the ground, right?
Correct.
How do you not let that demoralize your players?
First and foremost, we have those conversations. Like, you can't do nothing about it. They're not going to reverse it. The only thing about that whole situation is the conversations that we had at halftime with the officials was the integrity of the game is so special, and the players should be able to dictate the outcome. Not coaches, not officials, the players. And there was a couple situations where I felt like our players didn't get to dictate the outcome of the game. Is that why we lost? No. But at the end of the day, if you look at the stat sheet and you get to look at film and you break things down and whatnot, I think the officials, had a hand in potentially
overcalled it,
potentially dictating some things within the game that I believe, in my opinion, gave China Springs some extra life in some certain situations.
Nate Adejokin rushed for 114 yards and 1 touchdown. Jacob Fields 53 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns, of course the punt return touchdown. So is it fair to say your running game is stronger right now than your passing game?
Correct. I mean, every year you have to go into the season with, you have to, what are you good at? And then you have to say, okay, well, I'm good at this, so that's got to be our identity. So right now, that's got to be our identity. We're right around 50% completion percentage, and I want to be at 65. At 65 makes me feel, and that's high, but it makes me feel comfortable in throwing the ball down the field. And at 50%, I don't feel comfortable just consistently throwing the ball down the field. So, but besides that, the offense, football is based around running the ball. Can you establish the run? Can you be physical up front? That's just going to be my philosophy. We're going to run the football and play good defense. Period. The end. And then when we have our opportunities, we're going to take what the defense gives us. So if the defense is going to tuck a backer or whatever the case may be, and we can throw a glance or a skinny post in there, cool, let's do that. But at the end of the day, I want to be a physical, run-first football team, and Nathan Adejokin is a physical runner. So I feel really comfortable with him and what his talents are and how he's improving each week.
Talk about the decision on when to when to play more players, when to play less. Are you using these non-district games as get everybody comfortable playing time, or our first team, we're going all the way so we can have our best performance?
So as you move closer to district play, you're going to start to see more of your ones play, just because you're trying to get them ready. You're going to see still more people playing this week, just because of the fact of we still have some issues and some areas that we're trying to figure out and trying to give us some kids some opportunities to win a job. So you're going to see that this week. But once again, it's about, I believe in depth. And if you're not building depth, then I think you're just preparing to fail. So, and I believe this is that time where you're preparing and building depth. Everyone's getting some minutes. But you'll start seeing that diminish a little bit.
So it was a tough loss, 42-41 to China Spring. Cardinals do fall to 0-2 on the year. Move on to the next game, another non-district game against the Royce City Bulldogs, who happen to be a Class 6A team and a 2-0 Class 6A team.
Right.
Melissa has played at Royce City before, but never played against Royce City before. It was a playoff game back in the state championship run against Dangerfield, 2011. Royce City at 2-0, they've defeated Grand Prairie and the Colony. And now they take on your Melissa Cardinals. Give the fans a little bit of insight into the Bulldogs.
They're a 6A program, and when you look at them on film, they're a very good team. I feel like this is the best team that we played thus far going into district play. So, but once again, what I love about as we move up is the coaching has just, and I'm not saying 4A was bad by any stretch of the mean, but it's just, there's the small details are getting coached. And that's what I like about it. You get to see those small details get moved, and you're going to have to move small details as well as you go. It's more kind of a chess match in some games than it has been in the past. So I think they're coached extremely well. I think they've got some really, really good players. It'll be a fun game to go out there and compete. And I think, like I said, watch. Our kids will go out there and they'll give it all they got, and they'll be extremely physical with this team. And that's the one thing I've been so pleased with our kids is we have been physical. But we're going to continue to get physical throughout the season. But and that's the one thing about as you move through the season is it's about blocking and tackling. That's it. That's football, blocking and tackling. So we need to get better at tackling. But the physical part of it we have just been great with. So I'm excited to see how we react because they're large humans. There's some large humans in Royce City. How we react and how physical we can be with them.
Of course, you will be able to watch the broadcast on the Melissa Cardinals Network. If you subscribe to the Melissa ISD YouTube channel, you'll be informed every time one of our programs here. The Cardinals Scoreboard show is released. You can join us on Monday evenings at 5:30 p.m. at the Dugout to enjoy dinner with your family. Our kickoff this week, we will bring it to you live, Coach Kenny Deal and I, on the Melissa Cardinals Network. And the Cardinals are going to take on a very talented team. Again, we invite you to our church home. Go to firstmelissa.com to find out more. Thanks to Jacob Field for being our special guest today. For Matt and Allie, this is Trey Graham saying good night from the Dugout Sports Grill.